but like I don't remember.
Adam, we're going to the final boss.
Oh, let's go.
Just unceremoniously, just like that, it's time for the final battle. We went through all that bullshit so that he would power up us, so that we can become a cooler, more badass supersonic, and hopefully we're gonna see the perfect parry again. It's gonna give us the perfect parry for the final fight. This final fight
spoke a bunch of gobbledygook to me, boy.
Listen. I know we haven't been too focused on the video game, right? We've been talking about a lot of other fun shit. We've been doing a lot of cool shit. This final boss, you either love it or you hate it. There's been a lot of people who are like, this is the best boss fight in Sonic history. And then there's people like me who are like, this is fucking the worst thing since the Master Coco trial. And also apparently Sonic Chronicles. And we'll get there and I'll show you. But the whole reason is because they don't tell you what to do at all. They do not convey at all what you need to do to progress the fight. And you end up going through 999 rings of bullshit, wasting your time, spending like half an hour trying to figure out what to do with the boss. And it's something that like the game has never showed you how to do before. Okay, were you watching, Adam, this is for you, not the audience at this point, but were you watching when I was fighting the knight and he put up his shield?
Maybe.
So, all right. So this is an exploit with the knight fight. Is that when he puts up his shield and you're going to do that whole buzzsaw phase, if you hit your dodge button, you can just go around it and attack his head. That's what you have to do against the final boss, and they don't tell you that.
Oh,
they basically designed the final boss around an exploit in one of the other bosses and didn't bother to tell you. But if you go through and 100% the game, like for every character you max out, every like cyberspace level you 100%. This phase is just the same as it was before. So we could just talk over this phase. Doesn't matter. But
yeah,
what they do, your reward for 100%ing the game is they teach you how to beat the final boss. You talk to the Master Coco and he gives you a vague ass hint about how to beat the final boss, and that's your reward for like maxing out Tails, Amy, and Knuckles, beating all the cyberspace stages, like getting all the hidden cutscenes and everything. And it's like, what were you on when you were designing this? Literally all people wanted you to do was add a phase after like the bullet hell fight with the end, and nobody would have complained. But instead they did like this ground up, they removed the bullet hell shit, they removed everything that made the end cool, and they just give you like this shit ass final boss instead. And I'm really jumping the gun with this, but it's really bad, and it made me so angry the first time I fought it.
I would have also not known what the fuck to do, because I very much need a game to be like, this is what you need to do to beat them. Now it's up to your skill. Like you're given all the information, and now like it's just skill versus skill, you know? But what they were going for, I'm assuming, is like, oh, I mean, we showed you how to do this thing with the knight. Like, you should have that in the back of your head for a person that we gave you a shield for. When it's like any boss battle, you're just like, I want all the information, and then I have to fucking fight this thing, you know?
Well, and here's the like, you'll see in a minute, but what really like sours it is that like it's not the same visually. It's not like he has a shield and you have to go around his shield. You see that port on the back of his neck when you get to the shot of like the Titan bending down?
Mm-hmm.
The little tentacle thing that just shot into his head that connects him to like the end, which is, this is such a dumb setup for the boss fight, in my opinion too. But you have to, instead of targeting his head, you have to target that thing. But there's no way in the game has never required you to switch targets, and there's no button that lets you switch targets. There's no way of doing that. You're supposed to know the exploit from the knight fight, but again, it's a fucking exploit. It wasn't designed that way, and now they're designing it around something that has never been like actually properly used in the game. And
no, that makes sense.
That's not even like that's the worst part of it, in my opinion. The other part is, I think that this like weird like they're like trying to be like this edgy and grotesque spider version of Supreme as the final boss. It doesn't work for me. What I liked about the Titan so much is that it was like this regal being that was like under control of like this evil mastermind, and now it's like, oh, you know, like now he's being controlled against his will, but you can fight alongside him against the end once you free him, and that part was cool. I don't like this. I think this is a dumb setup for a final boss.
Yeah, I agree. Well, when you explain it like that, I like your version better. You know,
the version I described is just the version that's in the base game, but apparently everyone hated that so much. Like, literally all that I wanted out of this DLC was for them to, like, maybe, like, fix up, like, the fucking, like, the bullshit of, like, oh, like, the final island. Like, whatever. I could take or leave the playable characters. All they had to do was add another phase to the end of the fight. They didn't need to fucking retool it, have these goofy-ass animated cutscenes. They don't look good, in my opinion. Of, like, Sonic transforming and, like, being in pain and whatever. It's like, I don't care about all this. I just wanted, like, a satisfying conclusion to the end. And then they gave us a completely different one that actually is worse. For me, a lot of people really like this fight.
Yeah, well, and I guess that'll come back to my point that, like, it looks like playing this is a hell of a lot of fun, you know? But just watching it, like, and not remembering fully how the other fight went, I remember you, like, going into space and fighting the end, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
But this seems to be not that. Like, this seems to be just, like, you fighting Supreme a bunch of times.
Yeah, the whole fight is just Supreme, and it doesn't feel like you're fighting the end. It feels like you're just bullying this mind-controlled fucking beast that doesn't want to be there. And again, like, I think it's okay as a phase. This is not good enough to be the final boss and to be, like, the send-off to, like, what's, like, the most powerful villain that, like, the series has seen so far. Like, they made it more of a joke than it was when people hated the bullet hell bit. I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm just really fucking going off, but I really don't like this final boss, and I've seen nothing but, like, people, like, loving it and being like, oh, this is the best Sonic final boss, and I'm like, no, it's such horse shit. Like, they had the workings of the best Sonic final boss, and instead of just, like, fixing it, they went and they did all this goofy anime shit, and they didn't even do it good.
Yeah, I'm trying to, like, be invested in it, but, like, I can't hear.
I'm sorry.
I'm watching it on a stream. So I look at the cutscenes and I'm like, oh, I mean, with the music and the voices, this would probably be pretty powerful. But I'm like,
it's still not. Like, it's still goofy. And, like, these animations, like, this one looks good. Like the whole finisher move you get against Supreme for countering him. Like, that shit looks cool. But, like, the cutscenes where it's like, oh, like Tails and Amy and Knuckles are gonna, like, fly up and do the shield, and then we're gonna fucking get close-ups on their faces while they make goofy fucking filler noises, and it's like, oh, they're enforcing the shield. No, they're being fucking stupid. It's dumb. I don't know.
Well, you know what I say to that, Mitch?
Say it. Tell me.
They didn't destroy the story. They just destroyed your head canon. I'm gonna
fucking
fatal head injury.
It's their story, Mitch, and.
So, all right, so I know you're joking. I know you're fucking around with this. Absolutely. But here's the thing. They made this entire, like, final DLC scenario because people hated the original ending. And then for them to make it worse than the original ending. Like, I have more of a right to criticize a AAA studio than Hell of a Boss on the best of days. But just the fact that they did it so dirty when the fix was so simple. And it's like, you spent all this, like, time and development money on something that it's like, yeah, I know it was free either way, and it was for the good graces of the fans, and I really respect the shit out of that. Because I do enjoy, like, playing Amy and Knuckles and all that shit. But for them to just do what was such a good boss, in my opinion, so dirty.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid. When it comes to this fight in particular and what I remember of it, like, kind of what impacted me was how at the end the fucking Eggman's daughter, like, she, like, sacrificed herself and shit, and
that whole bit's gone.
That'll happen. Yeah, like that's the only thing that really gave any of this meaning, and the idea that all the Titans are actual fucking, like, they were like the aliens that, like, you know, taken over by the end, and, like, and then they help you out after the fact. And I know that kind of goes... like that's meaningful and, like, a cool story bit, and it, like, adds some lore to the world.
And that goes into, like, my whole headcanon thing or whatever, but I thought that's the angle they were going for when they were remaking this fight.
Yeah, so like, to have it totally be not that
Yeah.
It was very disappointing.
Like, they really planted the seeds to make something fucking thematically awesome, and then they were like, no, you know what's more fun than that? Is having to, like, cycle around his head to hit this fucking wire thing so he can't infinitely heal himself. Like, that's not fun. And sometimes it doesn't even work. Like, I'm doing it right now, and it's not working. I'm at 45 rings, and if we do this, we have to do the first phase again. This whole phase, literally everything again, because the mechanic that they introduced for this fight doesn't work. Also, the trees are the real final boss. The trees are the worst fucking part of this fight.
The trees.
So this animation too, they don't tell you anything about what you're supposed to do, but when he's doing that, it means he's gonna go and attack like Tails and Amy and Knuckles and whatever. They don't tell you that. What you got to do is combo him once or twice, sidestep around him, and then fucking parry something that it looks like you shouldn't be able to parry, and then you stop him from attacking them. But you know what? Fuck it. Here's the cool finisher. This is what y'all wanted. Supersonic Vegeta. Supersonic Vegeta's gonna beat the shit out of this guy, who isn't even like the physical form. If this was like a manifestation of the end, not just like the last Titan, it would be cool that he's doing all this fucking shit. But he's just bullying a fucking victim. I didn't think I was gonna get this heated about this final boss. I really hate this final boss.
No, I'm glad I stepped out of the kitchen and are letting you fucking cook, my king.
I also would like to point out, so I don't know, are you at the point where he went into the gun?
Yep.
And he's turning into fucking he's turning into fucking Mixus Sonic from Security Breach Ruin. And it looks so goofy and bad. Like, this whole animation, like, they wanted to go for something cool, and it ended up being shitty. And I'm sorry, I really don't.
It's not that good.
I'm just going really negative. Like, I was just sitting here, like, laughing at what should have been, like, a really cool and impactful moment. It's like, oh, we're getting, like, our full revenge on the end. No, you're just bullying Supreme, who gets bullied enough. And then you don't even get to fight the end. He just shoots him through the end with the gun, and you don't get a cool final phase with him. And it's just like, they wasted time making this boss.
Well, and so do you actually kill the end with this?
Yeah, you do. It's in a cutscene. Again, you don't get to fight the end. You kill Supreme, Sonic grabs some boobs, and then he kills the end. You think I'm joking? You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it.
Oh, I saw the boob grab for sure.
Okay, so you're pretty much caught up. Oh, and how Sonic's like flying through space at the end. It's like, oh, what's this? He might die. He doesn't. He crashes down to Earth, and he's fine. And Sage doesn't die, and nobody dies. Like, there's no stakes in this ending, even though it's setting up like they're supposed to be.
Yeah, it looks to me like they just made like another ending, and it's just kind of meh. Like they just wasted their time like making
The whole ending of Sonic Adventure 2 was that Shadow falling to Earth killed him from his super form. It's the same thing happens to Sonic here, and he just gets up and walks it off. And then Sage and Eggman get their happy ending, which is like, it's cute. It's fine. I like happiness sometimes. But they had such an impactful like story angle with her from the beginning, and then they just said no. Fuck that.
Yeah, it was way more of a better ending to like tease her return after the fact.
That was cool.
It's tough. It's a tough one, definitely.
I will give credit to them for doing a vocal version. Like, the song in the credits now is the vocal version of the song that played when you were fighting the end originally. Like in the base game ending. Also, we talked over it, but we got an I'm Here version from Kellen Quinn. So that was great.
Oh, nice.
It was just the boss attached made me very mad. But yeah, that was it.
Well, and that's fair. All your points seemed like super valid, and they're well thought out. So I
am a little surprised we didn't have anybody else like any other like Sonic fans in the fucking like chat just like finding this video and then getting absolutely fucking triggered about me like talking shit about this boss that like most people love.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Once we put the VOD out, it could definitely stir up some trouble.
This post-credit scene is also the same exact scene as in the base game too. And you get the same like finals, like you get the same Nate Wants to Battle song and everything. Like, it's great, but like,
and there's no Rouge the Bat.
Yeah, no, absolutely worthless DLC, waste of time. No, and look, I do want to bring it back. I do want to say that it was incredible the amount of content that like Sega put into this game for free after launch. Like, it's
Yeah.
really commendable, and it's awesome, and they gave it to us all for free. Updates 1 and 2 were fucking perfect. Like, the updates 1 and 2 were just banger after banger. Like, it was like, oh, like, you get, like, it's like boss rush and, like cyberspace, like, rush, and it's, like, not super substantial, but it was good content, and they added options that made the game better to play, like, in your settings, and they added, like, the spin dash and shit. Updates 1 and 2 were great. This one was just really questionable, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I like the idea that they were willing to, like, go forward and do something like this. They just did shit like the final boss, like, being really weak, like, thematically, and, like, not telling you what to do. Adding, like, a delay to, like, Knuckles' glide and Tails' flying. Like, they just made weird decisions, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just,
well,
like...
it puts a bad taste in your mouth as somebody who genuinely enjoyed the game as it was, you know?
Yeah. And it's just, yeah, you don't have to play the DLC if you're replaying the game. And I probably won't. But it's also just, like... You guys were so close to making something, like, legitimately, like, fantastic. But you just, like, made, like, really baffling decisions with it.
No, I totally get that. I'm trying to think if there's any sort of game that... Well, no, not really.
Any sort of game that isn't a Sonic game.
Oh, you know what? The only thing I can liken this sort of experience for you is... So, they came out with DLC for Doki Doki Literature Club.